Hello, and welcome to today's lecture on EBusiness Strategies. We're going to talk about e-business in general, then we're going to dive into e-commerce, some of the technologies that are shaping the e-commerce landscape today. We'll go ahead and talk about computer networking, and then we'll jump into the internet and how it works. So let's get started. So we'll start off with e-business. I would encourage you to look into brainstorming some project ideas with your group. If you look on Canvas, you should have a group assigned under the people section. You're going to want to take a look at group report number 1. What I really encourage you to do there is spend some more time on the competitive analysis. Of course, come up with a good project idea. You want to do some type of competitive analysis. That's the meat of that assignment. So a SWOT analysis, as in strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats type analysis would be useful. If you've taken a marketing class, you might have ran into that. Otherwise, you could just search for that. I've got an article reference here that you might find quite useful for doing that type of analysis. So spend some time with your group looking into that this week. So let's talk about e-commerce. What is e-commerce? In general, we would see e-commerce as some type of vehicle that allows us to electronically purchase and or sell products and or services, more specifically through the internet, right? So it's an electronic channel. That's what the E would be standing for. Typically, you'd have customers, consumers, and companies engaged in some form of relationship through this medium. E-commerce in general, is proven to break down traditional barriers, specifically around time, geography, language, currency, and culture. And everyone in class would be able to talk about some specific examples, but I encourage you to think about what are the traditional business barriers that e-commerce helps to break down in terms of time. You can shop 24/7 online versus being able to go to the mall to buy something, between a period of time A and B, right? If you lived pretty far away from the mall, you would be limited to, stores that are around you versus if you have the ability to shop online, those geographical lines are not there. You can buy using just about any currency. Currency conversion options are available, and lots of opportunities where you have translation from a website that was built in Spanish can be translated to the English language very easily using services that are readily available these days, right? So think in terms of those barriers that e-commerce kind of breaks. So e-business in general could be categorized in 9 different ways, right? So you can do business online maybe 9 different ways, and these are the major categories. So business to government, where a business is doing business with a government entity. Then you've got a consumer to government, that would be consumers being you and I as individuals, or folks that are purchasing something online, not as a business entity or a government entity, right? We can do business with the government. Government can do business with a business entity. Government can do business with a consumer entity. In a government to government model. But 4 of the models that you would find more prevalent would be business to business, B2B, e-commerce solutions or e-business solutions, business to consumer, which would be B2C, consumer to business, C2B, and consumer to consumer, right? So those are your 9 models, but those last 4 are probably more popular these days. Now, when you think of B2B, it's pretty easy. Business does business with business. But we like to mention these in terms of who is doing the demand and the supply. So when a business sells to a consumer, a business is supplying the goods or the services to a consumer we would call it B2C, right? So whoever is doing the supply, who's got the supply, would mention that first. So B being business, 2 is just, a number representing business 2, and C for consumer, right? So don't get confused between B2C and C2B. C2B, the consumer is providing or supplying the goods or services to a business, whereas B2C, business is providing the service or the product, right? That's probably the only thing that might trip some folks up, but hopefully you get some clarity on that. So some good examples here. Amazon. It's important to know that a business entity online could fall in multiple e-business models. As in, Amazon, for example, allows a business to do business with another business, right? So when your business sells on Amazon, you're doing B2B, right? Amazon is providing some service, and you're a business entity using that service, right? You're consuming that service. Consumers could also, individuals, as in you and I, could also sell things on Amazon, and of course, Amazon could sell things to you and I, right? So Amazon has multiple business models that get involved. You're probably going to see this in your midterm exam, where you'd be given a scenario and you'd have to think through which of these business models are at play, right? So don't think of it as, a given e-business model is, specific to one organization. An organization could have multiple, business models in place. So DMV would be, a government entity, providing a service to consumers. So you go there to renew your driver's license and things like that, right? You see some very good examples here that you could take a look at. More concrete definitions would be represented here. So your top 4 popular options there. B2C, you're going to see quite often. Walmart selling to consumers through his website. That would be a business entity, Walmart, selling to consumers like you and I, right? So that's B2C. Consumer to consumer is another very popular example on eBay, where you could put up something that you're trying to sell, or you could do that on Craigslist as well. And I, as a consumer, could also go out there and buy it. So eBay would be considered some type of a C2C platform that allows consumers to sell to other consumers, right? And you could think of some of the other opportunities out there with Lyft and Uber in a similar fashion, where some consumer is providing some service to another consumer, probably through some medium of a mobile app or an e-commerce website or something of that nature. There are lots of investments, and this is an older chart of investments that a couple of large organizations were looking to make in terms of e-commerce trends that we see today. So some of the big trends you see today would be mobile. Practically almost every e-commerce entity is considering having some type of a mobile app, and this is a big movement. Big data, how do we, add machine learning and big data into our day-to-day work, especially in e-commerce? You see scenarios like people who bought this, bought that, popularized by Amazon is a very good example of this. How do we add recommendation systems, data-driven loyalty programs, bots and messengers, IoT, which is the Internet of Things, solutions out there. In-store pickup, you get a chance to watch this nice video about the Amazon Go grocery store, and you probably find some good application of machine learning and a couple other technologies at play in that. And of course, we've got virtual reality, wearables, Bitcoin, drones, and things like that, all at play in e-commerce. So e-commerce is being shaped. The future of e-commerce is definitely going to be shaped largely by some of these emerging technologies. So we're going to stop the discussion of e-business around here, and we'll pick it up and talk about computer networks.